Hi, friends, I'm Olivia Smith. Thanks for visiting my YouTube channel where I share the latest global news every day. You can also read more news on TimeGlitter.com. You can find all the links in the video description below. Friends, don't forget to hit the like button, drop a comment, share with others, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Now let's jump into today's news. News headline: Major U.S. corporations threaten to return labor to law of the jungle. News details: Major corporations in the U.S. are pushing to undermine the National Labor Relations Board, NLRB, due to the recent increase in union activities. Companies like SpaceX, Amazon, Starbucks, and Trader Joe's are challenging the constitutionality of the NLRB, the federal agency responsible for enforcing labor rights and overseeing unionization efforts. These corporations have filed legal documents with unique arguments aimed at weakening or shutting down the NLRB. Their motivation stems from the NLRB's accusations against them, such as Amazon, Starbucks, and Trader Joe's, for allegedly violating labor laws in their opposition to unionization. SpaceX also faced allegations of unlawfully firing 8 employees for criticizing Elon Musk. Roger King, a seasoned lawyer representing management interests, warns against the consequences of dismantling the 89-year-old National Labor Relations Act. He predicts a return to chaotic labor relations akin to the law of the jungle if the act is overturned. According to King, such a scenario would prioritize power struggles over legal frameworks, leading to potential chaos. Kate Andrias, a law professor at Columbia University, emphasizes the detrimental impact on workers if both the NLRB and the National Labor Relations Act are deemed unconstitutional. She argues that without these protections, workers will suffer even greater vulnerabilities. Andrias stresses the importance of maintaining these institutions to safeguard workers' rights to organize and engage in collective bargaining, which have been considered fundamental since the New Deal era. Some advocates for workers are surprised that companies like SpaceX, Starbucks, Amazon, and Trader Joe's are trying to weaken the NLRB. They think the labor board is already too weak, as it can't impose fines on companies for breaking the law, such as firing workers for supporting a union. These companies have 3 main arguments for declaring the NLRB unconstitutional. It punishes companies without a jury trial. It has executive powers without the president being able to remove board officials. And it violates the separation of powers by performing executive, legislative, and judicial functions. This attack from corporations is part of a trend of lawsuits challenging the constitutionality of federal agencies that regulate businesses. According to Andrias, one reason behind these challenges to the NLRB is that the Supreme Court, especially in recent years, has shown a hostility towards the administrative state. This has led to significant changes in administrative law that limit the government's ability to protect workers and consumers. Companies are now trying to take advantage of the court's conservative majority. Many companies are pushing against the NLRB because they believe President Biden's NLRB has leaned too far left. The board tends to support businesses more under Republican presidents and workers more under Democratic ones. Roger King, representing companies like SpaceX, hopes the courts will act as a barrier against the NLRB's leftward shift. William B. Gould, IV, a former NLRB chair under President Clinton, points out that anti-union tech billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are driving these efforts. Gould criticizes Musk's stance against unions, suggesting he aims to suppress workers' rights. Benjamin Sachs, a labor law professor at Harvard, expresses concern that even supposedly progressive companies like Trader Joe's and Starbucks are backing legal arguments that not only threaten labor rights, but also endanger environmental regulations and workplace safety. SpaceX took the lead in challenging the NLRB, labeling it an unconstitutionally structured agency. Quoting James Madison, SpaceX argues that the NLRB consolidates too much power, resembling tyranny. The dispute over jurisdiction between federal judges in Texas and California adds another layer to the conflict. The NLRB declined to comment on the matter, and it has yet to formally defend its constitutionality in court. Kate Andrias defends the NLRB, citing historical precedent since the New Deal era, where federal agencies have been allowed to carry out various functions. She sees the attacks on the NLRB as part of a broader assault on Congress's ability to design effective agencies. The corporations argue that the judges in the NLRB should be considered unconstitutional. They claim these judges carry out executive functions and cannot be easily removed by the president. However, defenders of the NLRB say that the judges primarily exercise judicial powers. They also argue that since these judges can't impose financial penalties, the cases they handle don't require jury trials, except for awarding back pay to workers who were unlawfully fired or demoted. There's a possibility that SpaceX and other companies might take these cases to the Supreme Court in the future. Legal experts find it challenging to predict whether the courts will uphold the NLRB's constitutionality, declare parts of its structure unconstitutional, or invalidate the entire NLRB and National Labor Relations Act. Roger King from the HR Policy Association mentions that if NLRB judges are declared unconstitutional, it would halt the hearing of hundreds of cases each year where board officials accuse companies and unions of breaking labor laws. For instance, the NLRB has filed complaints against Starbucks, alleging various illegal actions, including firing baristas for supporting unionization. Under such circumstances, the NLRB could still manage unionization elections. Stephen Swirsky, a management-side employment lawyer, believes it would be problematic if there isn't a structure in place to handle the functions currently performed by the NLRB. Federal judges might not be keen on handling all these cases. If the NLRB is found unconstitutional, workers who believe they were unlawfully terminated for supporting a union might flood federal courts with lawsuits. Harvard's Benjamin Sachs warns that if the NLRB is declared unconstitutional, corporations might face unintended consequences. Without the National Labor Relations Act, states could enact their own labor laws. This could lead to states like California making it easier to unionize compared to current federal law. Legal scholars suggest that if the NLRB is ruled unconstitutional, Congress might need to intervene to fix the situation. However, given the dysfunctionality of Congress, this could be a challenging task. According to William B. Gould, IV, former chairman of the NLRB, for most workers and unions, the NLRB is crucial. Many employers wouldn't recognize or negotiate with unions without the NLRB's involvement. Friends, don't forget to hit the like button, drop a comment, share with others, and subscribe.